Hi, everybody. I'm going to take a few minutes to do a quick live about presence, mindfulness, and gratitude. I was going to do it from the pool or the yard, but it suddenly got really windy and really noisy, so I am going to do it from inside the house. I'm staying for a month in this home, which is actually almost over our month, and our co-living habitants are no longer here, and it's kind of quiet. It's a little too quiet. But my son's taking an impromptu nap, so I figured what better time to come on here and just talk about something that really comes up a lot with people that I speak to on one-on-ones. So presence, mindfulness, and gratitude. I kind of want to tie those things together today and want to talk about a few things. Hi, April. Hi, Anthony. So when you're feeling anxious, which a lot of us do, or scared or flustered or cloudy or discombobulated really, or even when you're happy, joyful, loved, or loving even to other people, it's a great time to take a few moments and practice mindfulness. Don Miguel Ruiz, author of the Four Agreements, actually also, hi Claudia, wrote the Fifth Agreement, which talks specifically about how we are not our thoughts, we are the observer of the thoughts. And something like practicing mindfulness really can trigger our brain to not be swayed by our thoughts and our circumstances, but actually start questioning ourselves. So this is what I wanted to briefly talk about today, hopefully before my son wakes up. So when you catch yourself being anxious and, hi Claudia, being anxious, flustered, and like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be when you're kind of all discombobulated. It could really be when you're happy, just to take that moment and talk to yourself, ask yourself questions. Some people, well, myself actually, I started talking to myself as my human. I started referring to myself as my human. It was really uncomfortable to really talk to myself. Some people actually even struggle to look at themselves in the mirror. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So a good way to start is to ask your human, what is my human feeling right now? What is my human saying? You can refer to yourself by your name as a third party. Like for me, it's like, oh, what is Evie feeling right now? What is happening? What triggered Evie right now? If you just got into a flustered moment, say, you were taking it out on your kids because they're getting to you, they're talking too much, or a significant other, or a work colleague, somebody. Take a moment to just breathe. Bring yourself back into the present moment. There's a lot of techniques about that. There's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, which is, I believe, see 5 things, smell 4 things, touch 3 things, and this brings you back into the presence. And what that does is it actually slows your rhythm, slows your frequency from being all crazy. And hi, Stephanie. And it brings you back to just this present moment, because in the present moment, despite what we've been told, there is no fear, there is no anxiety. It just doesn't reside there. Anxiety and fear and all those kind of things come from future thinking and past thinking. When you're taking on somebody else's energy, or when you're living out of pattern, you're living out of habit. A lot of habits that we live out of, we've kind of come to these habits from our parents, work colleagues, school, society in general. So what I really want to briefly kind of touch on today is just exactly that. Take a moment, if you can remember, to dive deep, to really ask yourself. So if you're experiencing anxiety, stop and be like, okay, what am I feeling right now? And when you get those answers, dive deeper. Why am I feeling this way? Well, somebody pissed me off. Okay, how did they piss me off? They pissed me off because they said something insulting. Okay, why am I insulted by this thing? And just keep peeling that onion layer. And it might be a little hard to do in the beginning, but it's not for anybody else. It's just for you. And it really is an opportunity to get past the initial ego. And anybody that tells you you need to kill your ego, they don't know what they're talking about. Ego is there to protect you. Ego is actually a very helpful tool as a human, because we live in duality, and we're going to experience, the love and fear vibration of everything. So it's okay if ego comes up and wants to shield you. But what's not okay is that we haven't practiced enough to find out, why did ego step in? Why did ego come in and want to be defensive? Why did ego come in and want to shield us? Why did ego come in and want to retaliate and get angry? So taking that moment to stop and be like, okay, let me ask myself some questions. You know, what triggered me is a good one. You know, why am I being triggered? Why am I upset? How am I feeling? Especially when the feelings are scary. If the feelings are joyful, this is also something to practice when you're happy and you're having a good day, and be like, okay, why am I happy? What made me happy? What did I really enjoy today? At this moment, you know, why am I smiling? What part of that do I like? And just keep kind of diving and diving. And this is all about practicing, because eventually you get to a point where you do this without even thinking. And being able to do this always brings you back to that neutral state of the observer. So that way the emotions that get us all riled up are not necessarily us. We are the person that's going to observe those emotions. We are the people we are the energy that's going to say, why? Why am I feeling this way? And by peeling these onion layers, what you don't even realize that you're doing is you're healing. You're healing things that might have offended you in the past. And now, if you take the time to ask yourself why, you'll realize eventually you're not even getting triggered by the same things. Hi, Diego. You're not even getting upset by the same things, because you've taken the time to dive deep more and more and more. Another thing I want to mention, since I did say presence, mindfulness, and gratitude, is thank yourself. Thank yourself for taking that moment, whether it be, you know, you're at work and you excuse yourself and you went to the washroom and you just kind of locked yourself in the stall. I've done this. And just take a moment to just why, and then thank yourself. Say, you know what? Thank you, my human, my person, whoever you are. You know, for me, it'd be thank you, Evie, for taking the time to just calm down. Thank you for taking the time to separate myself from the situation. Thank you for taking the time to dive into myself, to establish what it is that I'm feeling. That opportunity to thank yourself doesn't come up enough in our society, and we could practice it more and more and more, and really shift our brain patterns of where we naturally used to go to, which would be fear, defensiveness, which a lot of us would do because we were in fight or flight. Hi, Luna. Fight or flight mode. And nobody takes the time to be grateful for ourselves, because we're so used to the bad stuff, you know, media, TV, pop music, everything. He left me, he loves someone else, war, battles, you know, all the things that's happening right now in our world. It can be so bad, but we're so programmed to just run with that. Instead, practice presence. Take a few moments for yourself. Ask yourself some questions of why you're feeling, and thank yourself. You know, thank yourself for existing. Thank yourself for the experiences that you're going through. None of it is actually bad, no matter how we perceive it, because it's all there to teach us something. But if we don't take the time to acknowledge what it is that's teaching us, to acknowledge what it is that we're feeling, to acknowledge that this is even happening, and instead we just kind of flow with it, then it's not really teaching us. We're just allowing the experience to take us under like a current. But stopping, asking yourself questions, making that new habit of taking some time out of whatever's happening and bring yourself back to presence. Bring yourself back to you, back to inside of you. Why am I feeling this? Why am I thinking this? You know, how do I feel about this? What did I like about this? What did I not like about this? Thank you for taking the time to do this. All these little questions can seem very strange in the beginning, but I promise you, it will build a whole new way of looking at things, where in that moment, you won't get as triggered over time, and you'll be able to make decisions, or instead of react, or respond. Hi, Chloe. From a place of neutralized emotion versus fear or anxiety, or, you know, anything that's past or future. That moment, that now moment, is crucial. And the best way to do it is to slow down. Bring yourself back to your own mindfulness. Thank yourself. Be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. It's okay if you reacted, because you know what? If you take the time to practice mindfulness, next time you'll react differently. The next time maybe you won't even react, you'll respond. It takes practice. These are new skills. These are new habits. And habits take what, like 21 days? Probably more for a lot of us. I know for me, I will practice mindfulness. I used to practice mindfulness for months. And now I can kind of take it in the moment. And that doesn't mean that I don't have moments where I'm completely triggered and I'm not mindful. And you know what? It's okay to take that time after to be like, thank you for showing me that I wasn't mindful at this moment, because you learned something new. And then you can go to the next moment a little bit more aware, a little bit more experienced, a little bit more grateful, a little bit more mindful. So this was a very short live. I wasn't very prepared to talk about much else other than just to go back into yourself. Take a moment to just dive back in. Take a moment to escape from whatever's happening and ask yourself, how is my human feeling? I'm going to keep repeating these. What is my human thinking? Who is around my human? How do I feel with these people around me? Yes, Ashley. It's a very good tool. For me, I started doing this back in 2000. I want to say 13, 14 is when I really started doing it. And it took me a good 6 months to even understand what it is I was doing. But I started seeing myself react differently. I started seeing myself being able to pull away. When somebody was trying to push my buttons, especially for people that are in toxic environments, are possibly working to get out of toxic environments, it helped me not react right away. It helped me see that they're not taking any time to dive inside. So they are projecting, or they are blaming, they are taking out their anger on us. So it's very helpful to practice this internal dive, because it actually helps view other people from a more, I want to say, conscious state, a more aware state, because a lot of us are not taking the time to look into ourselves. So we react, we get defensive. We take all this little inner child trauma that we all have, and we run with it, like a little child throwing a tantrum, really. Most of us adults throw tantrums, and we don't want to admit that, but it's true. But if we can practice slowly, little by little, every day, bringing ourselves back into presence, diving deep into how we really feel, and thanking ourselves for taking the time to do that, thanking ourselves for the mistake. There is no mistake. But it's okay. Thank ourselves for the fact that, we screwed up. Thank ourselves for the fact that we overreacted, because the fact that we're actually acknowledging it is a positive thing. It's a learning thing, and it will help in the next time, and then the next time will get better and easier. So I'm going to stop rambling. I will be doing more lives eventually. I think they'll get a little bit more isolated, but right now I was going through, what triggered this for me is I was going through some old journals. Yes, I am a nomadic traveler, and I travel with old journals. You should see half my suitcase is crystal and journals. And I was reading, this would have been late 2014. I was reading some journal entries, and I was being triggered by my son's father at the time, and realized that I was writing, reminding myself to, hi Faye, to keep going back to how am I feeling, separate myself from how I'm being made to feel by other people, separate myself with how they're feeling, and realize, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What am I scared of? What am I hiding from? Or what am I not voicing? What am I not expressing? And for me, journaling works. It doesn't have to be journaling for everybody, but just that inner dialogue. I actually had this one person that I worked with for years, and I would advise them to go look in the mirror, go look at themselves in the eye and start talking to themselves in the eye. Have that connection, because it's hard. It's hard. We don't practice it. We're not told to speak to ourselves. A lot of times we're told that we're crazy, but have that inner dialogue, and it can open up emotions that we didn't even know were there. It can open up bottled up feelings, hurts, anxieties, things that we just are not telling ourselves. It could be easy to get caught up in what we're doing, especially as parents, or, working people and having things to be done every day. And we are full of emotion. We're full of energy. We're full of thoughts. But if we don't take the time to acknowledge them, then they just run amok. So thank you for those watching, and those who will watch later. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. If you're watching later, say a hi in the comments too. I'd love to see it. I will be doing more lives slowly. I finally have internet. I didn't have internet for a long, long time. I'm traveling again this week, but I'm going to be a little bit more stable in Merida for the next few months. And I want to talk more about this. I want to talk more about mindset, about personal alchemy, about developing our own inner wisdom to be able to deal with our own lives, because we all have the capability to do this. So I will be talking to you guys soon. Thank you for everybody that tuned in now and later. I hope you all have a magical day. Make it a magical day, okay? We have control always. We have choices. Love you. Bye.